live from New York. It's a show that saw someone in the makeup room who said, "I'm back." At the same time, that person is actually not back because they're not at the desk. Oh, here we go.
What was that?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
That was a stuffed animal.
Just tossing some toys. That's all. Tossing a few toys because nothing transforms some tacklers like a good old-fashioned toy toss. Y'all mocked me. You ridiculed me. You laughed me to scorn. But 6 points?
Okay.
6 points? The fewest points that they have scored all season, tied for it. A week after the Dolphins put 34 on the vaunted Falcons defense that you were praising yesterday. All right? Say it with me, gentlemen. T7, the toy toss that transformed the tacklers. Yes!
We're starting with the Ravens. Once upon a midnight dreary. The Ravens dominate the Dolphins. Lamar has 4 TDs. The defense held the Dolphins to 6 points, as mentioned. A dangerous team. Someone has been saying this the whole time. First 5 games, 35 points. Last 3 games, 13. The yardage, 80 yards fewer. 5 takeaways compared to 2. And passer rating went from 110 to 80. How scary do your Ravens look?
The box!
No, I thought
It's several layers.
we've got a.
Oh, are we back all the way, though?
I said a few weeks ago that the bit was on hold until further notice.
Yeah.
And I know everybody wants the robe and all of that.
Yeah.
But while we are back, we are not all the way back. We're supposed to demolish the breakdancers in South Beach.
Yeah.
All right? So, as the Ravens gradually work their way back to Super Bowl contention, I will gradually bring out all of the bits.
Oh, thank you.
All right?
I like that. I like the restraint.
Not yet the robe. I got the Jordans. I have the glasses.
What about chips?
Well,
soda pop?
Here's the deal, Nick, and I don't know what you're going to say about this game, but this is what I'm going to say quickly.
Please.
Honestly, I'm happy with the win. It was a blowout.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the Ravens' A game. I actually feel very much about that game last night like I felt about the Chiefs game on Monday when they beat the Washington Commanders. Similar score, 28-7. This was 28-6. First half, like the Commanders, I thought outplayed the Chiefs. I actually thought Miami outplayed the Ravens. All right, Ravens had some timely takeaways, and they bent but didn't break on defense. And then the second half, after Lamar got the rust off, they ran away from him. Derrick Henry got going. But here's the thing: even with their B or B- game, they still went into the Dolphins' house and demanded a Cuban sandwich. All right? I'm not the chips yet. The chips will come later, maybe in Cleveland in a couple weeks. Minnesota next week, the chips and the soda pop. But the sandwich, they demanded.
Yeah.
All right, and this is,
wow.
It smells delicious. This is going to be dinner tonight. Yeah. I can't wait for this bad boy. But yes.
Broussard Cuban Bakery.
Yes, they
Beach.
demanded Cuban sandwiches.
Okay.
So yes.
So listen, well done, Brou. I'm glad to have you back.
It's good to be back, boy. Believe me.
And I think Brou
much better than a hospital bed.
I think Brou is more back than the Ravens.
Oh.
Because I saw a lot of the same things you saw. Now listen, Lamar, the rust I was worried about, I think lasted for a half, and then he was awesome. And even the first,
if a half.
yeah. Exactly. And even in the beginning of the game, he was fine, but you could see what didn't, to me, feel like regular full-blown Lamar, but by the end of the game, it did. But the real question about the Ravens moving forward was not going to be, were they going to get MVP-level play from Lamar? Because even if they didn't yesterday, we would expect they are going to throughout the season. The question is, how good is the defense going to be? And I saw a lot of what you saw, Brou, which was a first half where the defense, to me, looked as shaky as it did at any point all season. It didn't. And we can show you the first half numbers. It's jarring how much Miami dominated that first half. A 116 yardage differential, more than doubling them up, the third biggest by any team in a loss this year. And because Miami is falling apart at the seams, and because Miami's not well disciplined, and because Miami's poorly coached, they didn't take that at halftime like, man, guys, we're right there. They took it as, we lost, we blew it, and they played the second half as such. But in that, Miami got the ball within the 30-yard line 6 times in this game, and a 7th if you include the outrageous call on the tripping. And in the first half, it went field goal, fumble, which was a forced fumble. I give him credit. Then the 4th and 1 false start into a missed field goal. Then the drive with the tripping penalty that took it outside of the 10-yard line. Then a field goal. Then the cartoonish 4th down slot fade to Achane.
Yeah, it looked like that was I think Achane's fault. I mean, it was obviously.
I'm going to put it on the play caller because you can't call a slot fade to a 5'9" guy.
Who's really a running
right.
back.
And so I'm not trying to rain on the Ravens keeping their season alive and Lamar by the end of the game looking awesome. Another game with an insane stat line, nearly as many touchdowns and incompletions. But I didn't see this transformation defensively. And what I've seen the last 2 weeks defensively is the Ravens haven't turned the ball over and they first forced 4, and that has gone a long way because in the last 2 weeks, they've actually been outgained by the opponent. Like the Bears had 377 and the Dolphins basically equaled them yesterday. So that would be the pause that I would have.
That's why there's no robe.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Okay.
This is a huge improvement.
Huge improvement.
I mean, they were giving up 30-something points a game.
Brou, you know I've become
to
a fan of the Athletics playoff predictor. I've got great news for you.
Oh, I bet it's. Can I guess the percentage?
Did you look at my?
I swear I haven't looked.
Go ahead.
The odds of winning the division or making the playoffs, they're probably about the same. But
I think this is of making the playoffs.
I bet they have them at 61%.
71%.
Wow.
Steelers at 32%.
Okay, so they're basically saying it's probably a one playoff team division. That's why it adds up.
71%. You're almost all the way back.
Well, I've never doubted they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, really. Now, if they had lost to Chicago, I mean, even though that was without Lamar, so maybe I wouldn't have doubted them. But I have felt strongly that the Steelers will come back to the pack and that with their schedule, the Ravens will gradually get better with Lamar coming back. And so the question for me is I want to see them get to a level where they can contend to win the AFC. And then the Super Bowl. So I fully expect them to win the division and to catch the Steelers before they even play.
Oh, that was Danny's thing yesterday. I think that would involve a bit of a Steelers collapse in addition to the Ravens.
It's only one game at this point.
Well,
they're going to lose against the Colts.
Is it what, 4-3 and 3-5?
It's 4-3 and 3-5. So 2 losses. It's certainly on the board.
Yeah.
Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals coming up for you, and we've got Kyle Van Noy coming up, so you can maybe break out the robe for that, or still just sunglasses.
We'll see.
I'll be patient.
Okay. Meanwhile, we'll head to the Dolphins side of things. They lost the game, and their GM Chris Grier fired this morning. He had 26 years with the team, GM since 2016. Schefter reporting that Mike McDaniel's job safe for the rest of the year. Where do the Dolphins go from here?
Well, it's all moot as long as that guy's your quarterback, paying him that much money. Just can't win that way. And this is not Monday morning quarterbacking by me. Some of the some of the most vitriolic arguments we've had on this show have surrounded Tua. And the fact that I did not care that he led the league in passing. I did not care that the Dolphins briefly looked like a potent offense. And to me, this is where at times the stats can lie. And that I felt that Tua was temporarily propped up by Tyreek being in the midst of one of the greatest stretches any wide receiver's ever had, an amazing number 2 or excellent number 2 in Waddle, and what was a very innovative offensive style that the league didn't have a ton of tape on and hadn't caught up to yet with all the sneak motion and the different cool play design stuff that I still think Mike McDaniel actually is really good at. I still think from a play design perspective, and I think you saw it last night, I think Mike McDaniel's excellent. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be an excellent head coach, and we'll get to him more later. But to me, this is about the quarterback, because the quarterback got paid like he's a star. The quarterback, to me, does not have the arm strength, the size, the mobility, or the leadership of a franchise quarterback.
But what does?
Accuracy. Oh. That's it. He's accurate. And if everything is perfect, he can be elite. If it's blocked up perfectly, if the routes run perfectly, if you have the right call against the right coverage, he can he can put it where he wants to put it before the receiver gets there, and it can look awesome. But as soon as anything breaks down, that happens. And I said when they paid him, like, okay, now you are evaluated, Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier, as if you have a franchise quarterback, because you guys are saying you believe you do. And if you have a franchise quarterback, this is unacceptable. Problem is they don't have a franchise quarterback, and so it becomes, fruit of a poisonous tree in that regard. Like, that's the original sin, is getting high on your own supply that Tua is actually a star.
Ouch. 4th and 2, and we just showed it here, but can we bring that back up, Dust? It's 4th and 2. This game is still in the balance.
They could be tied at halftime.
And I saw this play lined up, and I said, you know what? This doesn't look like it's going to work.
I didn't think that was
smart. But, I have faith in Mike McDaniel, of course, is smarter than I am. Like, all right. So if you show this again, watch Kyle Hamilton once the ball sails over his head. Kyle Hamilton, I hope we saw it, he gives like a nice try. Oh, we didn't include it. He gives a nice little try. And then at the end of the half, Brou, this is just a raw Hail Mary. It's just a Hail Mary. And he throws one out of bounds, and I didn't understand why he didn't throw the first Hail Mary. And then he self-sacks here.
That's because we all know his injury history. He can't take a shot.
Well,
I think he did that a couple times.
The self-sack is because he can't take a shot. He threw it short the first time.
Yeah.
So it would be a Hail Mary, a realistic Hail Mary for him.
Right.
No, he threw one out of bounds.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
He did it. Yards.
He was trying to get 8 yards.
Oh,
so the Hail Mary could happen.
So
no,
he could throw it 50,
because I think there was 4
yards.
seconds left at the start of the previous play. And I think the plan was get a quick 6 yards out of bounds. So with 1 second left, I can throw a Hail Mary. I think that's what it was.
Make it a 50-yard Hail Mary versus a
60-yard Hail Mary. Exactly right.
And they just eats it, and they don't. It just felt like looking at the AFC East, and not to make this a Drake May thing. You're never going to be better than Josh, and you're probably not better than Drake May. So if the best you can do is the bronze medal, it's time to get a new quarterback.
Wow. That's easier said than done, though.
Yeah.
So the first Chris Grier, he was there 10 years as GM. 3 times they made the playoffs, didn't win a playoff game. He drafted Tua.
And he's been with the organization for like 20.
For 25 years, something like that. I don't know if it was his call, owner's call, but it goes on his record drafting Tua. And then giving him the 4-year, $212 million contract, which the Tua was coming off of that year where he led the league in passing. And I think he obviously was good. That offense was spectacular with Tyreek Hill. But just the injury, and this is not a second guess. We were saying this on the show. With his injury history, he had only played 1 full season to that point. I just thought that was a bad decision. And he had only had 1 great year. He had been okay, but he still wasn't beating good teams. He had 1 great year. So those are the decisions that got Chris Grier fired. And Mike McDaniel may be I think he is a very good offensive coordinator. Whether or not he's a great head coach, we'll see. He might get another shot, and maybe he could become that. Maybe. But I do think this season, after this year in Miami, he has to go. They need to clean house. But with Tua, all this talk about what you said, moving on from him, benching him, I don't think that's, like, viable. Look, everybody's tradable, I guess, at some point. But with his contract as it is, all right, I think the best thing for Miami to do is you have to play him and hope he plays well. Try to find somebody that works well with him so he's either your quarterback or you can trade him. Unless they're going to go the Denver route with Russell Wilson.
I think that's what the route they have to go.
Probably. That's because I don't think anybody's trading for that contract.
I think you would have to. Seth Walder, I think, is the one.
Yes.
The Raiders.
No, Seth Walder put out a potential Tua trade, and it involved the Dolphins attaching picks.
Yeah.
So it was Tua and a second and a third, I think, for a seventh rounder. So it was essentially I'll give you, picks
to get
off the money on it. Like, it's that or it's a massive dead cap hit. The Dolphins, I tried to flag this 2 years ago when it was like, oh, wow. The Dolphins are in the same territory as the Bills and a couple, I think the Ravens were as well, as far as like most cash spending, borrowing the most from future years cap. They really were in a we can win right now mode. Right. And they were never close. They were never close. They made the playoffs twice with McDaniel, and credit to him for making the playoffs, but they were never close.
Right. Tough one. Just to be optimistic, because I like to throw an optimistic spin. We are in the golden age of quarterback, new destination, all of a sudden has a resurgence between Baker, Sam Darnold, Geno a little bit.
Geno had a resurgence and now it went back down.
Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
So if maybe Tua goes somewhere brand new and is great, maybe Mike McDaniel has like a solid path and he pops again as an OC.
I promise I'm not trying to start anything. I think Tua could, in a situation similar to the one Jimmy G had in San Francisco, I won't even use Brock, because Brock's better than Tua, but where it's like solid offensive line, great schematic head coach, consistent system like that. If everything's perfect, he can look great. Yeah. And certain quarterbacks don't look good. They just look fine if everything's perfect. But what is different from him, those other guys, is the size and the injury history makes him such a unique.
The fear,
and his injury history,
the ball away.
It makes him completely immobile. Yeah. Like you saw yesterday, a couple of times he just went down, which I get.
Which he has to.
Right, but that really.
Dolphins' last playoff win was 25 years ago.
It's
the
insane.
Longest drought in the league. Moving on to Buffalo, where the Bills will host Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Mahomes versus Josh, part 10, or if you just like the regular season, part 6. Here's Josh's resume against the Chiefs. 4-1 in the regular season, 0-4 in the playoffs. What would another win over Mahomes mean for Josh Allen?
Absolutely, unequivocally nothing. And I can prove it to you. I'm going to show you guys an iconic moment of a defending MVP with all-time great for his sport, the best type of win you can have against the team that always beats them. Run the tape, Dust. Just do it. I mean, you're down 2, overtime. Steph Harden, bang! You guys remember that play? Of course not. You know why? Because he lost to him the previous year, that year, the year before, and the year after that.
Was it like a Christmas game?
This is a double overtime James Harden Rockets as the defending MVP against the full strength Steph, KD, Klay Thompson Warriors, a three-pointer at the buzzer to cap off a 44-15, and none of us remember it. Because when you say Harden versus Curry or Harden versus those Rockets, you don't think, well, he did have some great regular season games, guys. It's that they played almost every year in the playoffs, and the same team won every single time. Now, this is what I will say, Brou. If Josh ever gets over the playoff hump, retroactively these games will matter.
Yeah.
If at the end of their careers, the playoff record is 5-2, Patrick, and the regular season record is 5-2, Josh, then it starts to have a little more meat to it. But as long as it's a bagel for Josh in the postseason, it's going to be hard to put real stakes for him in this game.
I agree with that. So I think when we're looking at the playoffs, even if they win, if they meet in the playoffs, you're still going to favor the Chiefs.
Yes.
But I do think, the more I think about this game, it does have big meaning for the Bills.
Oh, I agree with that.
Right? Because I think if they beat the Chiefs, they will solidify themselves as a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Because I won't say they have no chance to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs if they meet. If they lose to the Chiefs, I'll think about them what I thought last year. They're a good playoff team for sure. They're going to make the playoffs, but they're not going to get to the Super Bowl. They just don't have enough. So I think that's what I'm going to learn from this game because, look, the Chiefs, unlike a lot of the previous years, the Chiefs need this game to some degree for their playoff race. The Chiefs are not overlooking this game. They never overlook the Bills. They
can't hold stuff back.
But they need to win this game. Yep. And the Chiefs are playing great football. They're playing their best football of the season.
Yep.
And so if the Bills can beat them with the Chiefs playing this well, you just got Wright back. They're going to try to keep working him in and getting him going. And so if the Bills can beat them and their defense can step up and slow down this Chiefs offense, that will say a lot to me because we've said it. They don't have really any great wins yet. This would be a great win and tell me, okay, they are a legitimate top-tier Super Bowl contender.
What do you think about this concept? Because I was reading Barnwell's article with the trade deadline coming up. A little one step backwards, two step forwards. If the Bills lost this Sunday, would they look and say, all right, we have a clearer picture of what we need to move forward? So Barnwell said they need safety, tackles, wide receiver. If all of a sudden, you know what, we can't match up with Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy. We have, Keon Coleman's not really there. Maybe we need to go get Brian Thomas Jr. Let's go all in. Maybe we'll go get Olave. Well, it's an interesting
no, that would be smart. They
wrinkle of we lost, but you know what? We came out of it better.
Well, listen, and the Bills last year obviously added Amari Cooper. They've added people at the deadline before. I know this isn't the specific point. I do think anybody that had Brian Thomas Jr. dancing in their head, the sad Travis Hunter injury, I think, ends the idea that Brian Thomas Jr. could be available.
No, that's a good point.
But I said on, what podcast was it? Oh, What's Right with Nick Wright. People should check it out. I said that the move that would scare me the most would be the Bills trading for A.J. Brown. And so I know people are talking about the Patriots maybe trading for him, but I wonder if the Patriots feel like we're already ahead of schedule. We don't need to, that we don't need to trade extra draft resources for a player because you guys need more depth because of the missed drafts from previous years. The Bills we have not talked about it because the focus has been on the Ravens and Harbaugh, but McDermott's under as much pressure as any coach in football this year, as far as getting over the hump. And so I do think that if they we'll get to it later, I think this could get ugly for Buffalo.
Really?
I think this is the worst defense that the Bills are bringing into a game against Mahomes since Allen and Mahomes have been going against each other.
It is still in the top 10, though, scoring defense.
I know, but I think
some of that's probably last week. Yeah. But
I also think they have the worst run defense in football. Now, Pacheco's out, and I don't think they're going to run the ball that much, but the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs have a chance to put a big number on Buffalo.
Holy cow.
And if they put a big number on Buffalo, I think Buffalo's then going to have to stop and say, all right, how close to contending are we really if we don't make a significant move?
When you say ugly, you mean maybe
38-24.
No, I thought you meant
No.
that
I'm saying
Yeah, blowout loss.
Sunday afternoon, the game could get ugly.
38
It might not be the
Buffalo.
worst thing for him, though, because like you said, maybe that forces them to go out and get a top-tier receiver.
Yeah. Well, they're talking about Calais Campbell.
Or
maybe.
back,
That would be interesting.
defensive back.
We're headed back to Miami. 4 touchdowns for Lamar, over 100 yards rushing for Derek, 3 takeaways for the defense, 6 total points for the Dolphins. Coach, from what you saw, are the Ravens back?
I don't know if they're 100% back, but there's a lot of encouraging things from the last 5 days of victories. The fact that they were able to win without Lamar, the progress the defense has made. Lamar coming back, and it's not really what you want in the first half, ideally offensively, but at the end of the day, they put up 28. I thought it was going to be 35-42, so I'm a little disappointed it wasn't a bigger margin. I really thought that
you thought the margin was going to be...
I thought the margin was going to be bigger than it
feels like they
was.
could have pushed it there.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
I'm not
pulled
saying, but yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like
they just started running the ball.
kind of pulled back a little bit. And you heard them talk about the change that they made. And I know the toys are one factor, but just the mentality of what's happened in the past with the injuries, with the slow start, that's in the past, and now we're moving forward. And a lot of teams will say that. It feels like they have actually moved forward. And the relief that we saw when they beat the Bears, that's not necessarily the team that they were going to this game. There was much more of a sense of true purpose and much more similar to what we're used to seeing with Baltimore than what we've seen this season.
Yeah, and I like, too, that Derrick Henry ran 19 times. That's the most he's run this season with Lamar. So, and I get some of that. They got behind, so maybe they weren't giving Henry the ball. But early in the first half, like, they ran it a lot with him. So I like them leaning in. Hopefully they're leaning into giving Henry the ball. And you saw in the second half, he had kind of worn that defense down and really got going and had over 100 yards. And Lamar, look, we all know he's got to get it done in the playoffs. Regular season quarterback, and I get Henry, the presence of Henry does help him. Regular season quarterback, and I mean, Mahomes is obviously better situationally, but I mean, you don't see much better than him in the regular season. I mean, he's got his passer rating this year, in his 5 games, which is a solid sample, 136.7 passer rating. He's got 14 touchdowns in 5 games, which would be over 17. That's like a 48 touchdown pace, 1 interception, 9 yards per attempt, and 73% completion. Even though he was rusty yesterday for at least the first quarter or so, like, it's so easy for him, it looks like, in the regular season. I'll be honest, outside of kind of the Chiefs, where he seems to struggle a little bit, or at least it's a bumpier ride for him. Otherwise, it's just smooth sailing, it feels like, for him when the regular season.
Well, listen, we do become numb to these crazy statistical games. And they're odd because it's never a bunch of yards.
Right.
But it's always super high completion percentage, crazy touchdown compared to incompletion numbers. And he's now, like last year, it was 41 touchdowns to 4 picks. You just said this year he has 14 touchdowns through 5 games. Was he have 2 picks?
1 pick.
Oh, okay, 1 pick, just the pick in the Chiefs game. Yeah. So that ratio is, he's going to, when he's not rusty or hurt, he's going to be excellent. Like we know what level of quarterback play the Ravens are going to get moving forward. I have to be honest, I didn't like what I saw from the Ravens defense. I thought the first half of that game, Miami moved the ball at will, and it was one awful call and then their own mishaps that was the reason they only had 6 points. And as you see often with bad teams, they weren't able to emotionally overcome the missed opportunities. That's what it felt like to me, that they went into halftime like, you got to be kidding me, we're down 8. Like, we should be tied or ahead. They moved the ball inside the Ravens' 30-yard line 6 times in that game. It would have been 7 without the fake tripping call, and to only have 6 points. So I still feel like...
To me, I totally understand that, but to be able to hold a team to over 3 in the red zone, there's real value in that.
100%.
And then they held them to 2 for 12 on 3rd down as well. So there are 2 significant parts of the game and to have a turnover differential of +3 for the team, It's not perfect. You don't want them moving down the field that effortlessly in a lot of situations, but to be able to hold your ground once they get there, that's tough. That's not easy to do.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.